Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a fresh week at Celtic Football Club. A week and will the team return to action after an international break. We are heading to Dens Park on Sunday as we go for this kind of fresh start, I would say. The way that I've tried to look at it as a new beginning for the season. Let's put the opening phase of the season behind us and let's focus on improving on the pitch and lifting the mood around Celtic Football Club. The only thing is, it's hard to do that when you start seeing your players getting injured on international duty. So we've got a few updates to go through. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. Very, very quickly, this should be the last video I need to bring you from the laptop with this microphone quality and with the limited editing experience. I got the new PC, and let's just leave it at I may have broke something, and it's getting fixed today. We've got the technical support at hand, should be sorted, and hopefully things are back to normal tomorrow. So apologies for the change in look and feel around the content. It's all coming to an end soon. So Celtic players will start returning from international duty over the course of the week as we prepare for a return to club football this weekend. Here's a reminder of how the league table looks heading into the next stage of the season. Of course, Celtic not used to doing this, but we are chasing. We are chasing in second place right now. We have a bit of a gap to make up on Hearts. Not something I'm overly concerned about right now in the month of October. I think that's something we'll need to take more seriously when January comes around. But for now, Celtic know what they need to do. They need to get back to consistent winning ways. And winning games convincingly as well. That's the big task for Celtic. And as we come back to playing football this weekend, and as we head out to play Dundee, I've said it in the start of the video, and I've said it a few times over the course of the last week or so. I think it's a real chance for Celtic to kind of start again. Look, I don't think we need to exaggerate how bad things have been. Yeah, it's been poor. The performances haven't been great. And of course, the drama off the pitch hasn't helped. But I don't think it means that we're, all of a sudden done. And I've seen some people getting carried away that we aren't going to win the league this year and whatever. I'm not necessarily at that point yet, and I think I'm a long way from being at that point. But what we do need is a lease of life around us again. We need that kind of fear factor around playing Celtic. It hasn't been there. Teams are coming to Celtic Park and they're playing with their tails up and attacking the game, and we don't look as though we have a lot of the answers. So I think this international break has hopefully been a wee brief pause for the Celtic players to just kind of get themselves rally themselves together to really look at what's went wrong and go, right, let's make sure that doesn't happen. And more importantly, of course, well, some people might say it's more important, the European football, which we haven't done anything in yet. We haven't laid a glove on anybody. That needs to change, and hopefully that's something that both Brendan and Callum as captain will be looking at. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to a fresh start, but we do have some slight concerns to talk about. Now, one of the things Celtic have struggled with the most, if not the most, is the attacking issues at the club. Attacking players have been playing well below the expectations. New players have been kind of doing all the heavy lifting. We haven't been attacking the games well, and now we're hearing about a couple of potential injury issues with attacking players. It gets people worried, and I'm sure you've heard the news by now. We're going to dance through it quickly, but two attacking injuries were picked up over the course of this international break, one looking slightly more problematic than the other, as we understand. We'll start with Sebastian Tanecki. Now, it was reported over in the Middle East by Al Arabi that Tanecki was missing due to a thigh issue. Scans were taken for Sebastian Tanecki, and it was revealed that they are not serious. He is fine now. So a lot of people saw the headlines. Tanecki was out, blah blah, over the weekend, but he was cleared. He is fine. He was pictured back in training, in fact, for Tunisia over the last 24 hours. So Sebastian Tanecki is all good. He's fine. Nothing major at all. I mean, if anything, he will be left out of the Celtic squad through precaution this weekend. But until Brendan Rodgers even confirms that, I wouldn't get carried away. He'll probably be available for selection. He'll probably be fine. Don't get drawn in too much by the headlines of a Sebastian Tanecki injury. He is fine. However, the big problem comes with Daisen Maeda because he has withdrawn from the Japanese national team due to injury fears. That was confirmed over the past 24 hours as well. He's withdrawn. That was announced by Gai Kisaka, who reported that the Japanese Football Association confirmed that Maeda has tightness in his left foot and has dropped out of the squad ahead of Tuesday's game against Brazil. So he's left the squad. He will start making his way back to Glasgow, maybe even today. and he'll join up with Celtic again. The extent of his issues remain to be seen. You'd imagine he will be now scanned and stuff in house. Celtic's physio department and medical department will probably go through the classic rigmarole of assessing the extent of the problem. But doesn't sound too great. This is something I think that could potentially keep Maeda out for a couple of weeks. It doesn't sound like anything too serious beyond that. We're not talking any tears or such here as far as we're aware. So hopefully it's not too bad. But Dyson Maeda potentially facing some time on the sidelines upon evaluation when returning to Glasgow. A lot of people might look at that as a positive that he is forced to be dropped out of the team this weekend, if that's what the conclusion is, because he hasn't been great. He hasn't been at all, and of course he scored a huge winner against Motherwell. But maybe it opens up an opportunity for Rodgers to do something different, for somebody to play somewhere else. Like we put Balak in, play him on the left hand side. I don't know. I don't know what the solution will be. Yeah, it's not good though. I'm not going to sit here and celebrate any injury. I think that having limited options is just it's just bad, really. And Maida is playing poorly, but once again, I wanted him to have this fresh start post international break. And if he's injured and he misses, say, Dundee and he misses Sturm Graz and maybe even he's missing for a trip to Tynecastle the following week, nah, I don't want that. I want Maida because he can still cause problems. And hopefully this isn't anything too serious. So we'll find out hopefully by Friday when Brendan Rodgers speaks to the media what the extent of his injury is. But right now he has withdrawn from the Japanese national team. However, we do have good news and we have great images emerging from Celtic in relation to someone who's been missing through injury. And of course, I'm talking about Alistair Johnston. We have all seen the photos by now of Alistair Johnston out training today at Lennoxtown. He is preparing for his return, and it's just great to see him back on the grass, back with the first team, playing properly and training as well. Could he be back as soon as this weekend? I don't know. We're going to have to wait for Brendan Rodgers to confirm that, but he is looking, like he's back doing what he should be doing, and I wouldn't rule out a return this weekend at this stage if he's playing there and training there with the rest of the first team. Now, Brendan Rodgers, if you want a quick reminder, did say before the international break that he would join back in with training at this stage, and he would hope to have him back in the team before the end of October. So this is kind of lining up with what he said. It doesn't look as though there's been any setbacks. Doesn't look as though there's anything holding back that scheduled return for Alistair Johnston. It's now just about phasing him back into the team, isn't it? How quickly will Rodgers want to phase him in? With Sturm Graz midweek, with Hearts next week. Ideally, you would want Johnston to be back in the starting 11 for a big European game, for a game at Tynecastle. But whether or not that's going to be too soon, we'll wait and see. I don't necessarily think he'll start against Dundee. If anything, maybe he comes on with 10 minutes to go, get some minutes in his legs. But ultimately, it's just great to see him back. We've missed him so much, and that's undoubtable. I think he's one of Celtic's most important and influential outfield players. I think that we underestimate how much of our attacking game is actually, done through Alistair Johnston and on that right hand side. So yeah, listen, buzzing to see the photos of him back. That's great positive news to take. Listen, the attacking situation isn't exactly great right now, and we're waiting to hear what happens with Maeda. But if there's anything positive to take, it's certainly that. So that's the injury lowdown. Let's turn our attention to a couple of silly stories to finish off today. One more sillier than other, and we'll begin with that. You may have seen headlines that have linked Angus Gunn with Celtic. Of course, this isn't the first time we've spoke about Scotland's number one potentially being an option for Celtic, but there is a lot of articles doing the rounds today that Angus Gunn is, quote, eager to join Celtic. I'm not even going to use one of the silly sort of comparisons of Ryan is eager to kiss Dua Lipa or something like that. But it is quite funny. Like, that's the kind of thing that comes to your mind straight away. I am also eager to join Celtic. I would love to play for Celtic, Angus. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, though. But Football Insider's reporting that Angus Gunn is eager to join Celtic after falling down the pecking order at Nottingham Forest. It seems Ange Postecoglou doesn't fancy him. I mean, he already was the backup keeper. This must mean he's fell to number 3 at Nottingham Forest. And yeah, I just don't think that Celtic should be eyeing up Nottingham Forest number 3. Listen, I said it before, when it was the end of Joe Hart's time at Celtic, there was a lot of talk doing around, some fans suggesting go for Angus Gunn. And I think the only basis people had for that was because he was Scotland's number one. Angus Gunn isn't that great. I think he's got a lot of problems. I think there's a lot of imperfections in his game. I think it would be incredibly lazy of Celtic to go and get Angus Gunn when there's so many better keepers. We've also got Vinny Sinsalo sitting there, who arguably is already Celtic's next number one. We don't need Angus Gunn. Neither should we be signing Angus Gunn. I don't know what his situation is, but if he's eager to join Celtic, cool, good for him. Doesn't mean Celtic are going to go for him, and I don't think they will. If you've seen these headlines, don't get carried away by them, is essentially what I'm saying. Keep in mind, it's Football Insider writing these stories. I've already seen people jump like my comments section from like the last video saying, "Have you seen the story with Angus Gunn?" I'm like, yes, and it's nothing to even read into. So just put that out there now. Yeah, we're fine with Schmeichel at the minute, even though there's concerns. We're fine with Sinisalo, and next year we'll probably go through the rigmarole of talking about keepers again. And maybe Angus Gunn would make a suitable backup at Celtic to Vinny Sinsalo, but I don't see it. So John McGinn, his name was doing the rounds over the weekend, and I'm sure we've all seen it. And if you've watched me long enough, you'll know how big a fan of John McGinn I am. John McGinn is arguably my favourite non-Celtic player in football. I love John McGinn. I loved him when he was at Hibs. I was devastated when he didn't sign for Celtic. I've followed and watched him through his time at Villa. Just immensely impressed of the player he's become. And I would love him to play for Celtic. And that talk has been doing the rounds over the weekend to the level where I had to just take a kind of, I just have a wee bit of a laugh within myself. Because Charlie Mulgrew put his name out there with Celtic again over the weekend. And these were Charlie Mulgrew's exact quotes over the weekend on Talksport saying, listen, John McGinn would have loved to have gone to Celtic. I know John personally, his whole family are Celtic fans, but it just didn't happen for whatever reason. I think it's definitely going to be in his head to sign for Celtic. When you're brought up in Glasgow, the only teams that you see are Celtic and Rangers, and that for you is the pinnacle of football. So yeah, he's putting his name out there. He says McGinn is still desperate to play for Celtic. Of course, these are not words from John himself. It's from Charlie, who I will know John very well. Of course, he will. Um, I don't think it's anything to start, getting overly optimistic about. But it's something that's, in a year or so's time, will probably be a serious conversation as his contract begins to run up at Aston Villa. Some people will wonder why I'm even giving this airtime this afternoon. Probably should just leave it be and admire it for what it is, but it's something to talk about in a quiet international break. I would absolutely love John McGinn at Celtic. He turns 31 this week, I believe. His contract expires at Aston Villa in just around 18 months' time. Not at the end of this season, but the end of the following. I think there's going to be big conversations about what he does and where he goes in the next 18 months. And Celtic will certainly be an option, I think. Especially as he gets closer to that age of 31, 32, 33 by the Christmas of 2027. There's got to be questions of whether or not he's still going to be playing in England, and Celtic will probably open up as an option. I would take him in a heartbeat. I know I would. I know a lot of people would go, no, no way. I don't want to sign a 32-year-old John McGinn by the time his contract expires. But he's took immense care of himself. I think he still looks every bit as fit as he did this time last year, this time 2 years ago. He's still doing a job, of course, for Scotland as well. Depending on what the situation is at the time and the circumstances that surround it, I genuinely would love to see McGinn play for Celtic. And I know that's just my personal bias of the player taking over, but it's something that I would certainly consider. However, what I will say is, I don't think it will happen. I'm under no illusions that John McGinn probably still has a couple of years left at Aston Villa where he'll see a lot of success. Got a chance to go and win a European trophy this year. I'm under no illusions the fact that clubs in England will still be looking at him. I think Everton, for example, were looking at him this summer. They might come back in again with a year left in his contract and offer him a good place to go and finish up. I don't think it'll be easy for Celtic to go out and get a John McGinn, but when you love a club and you grow up supporting them and you dream of playing for them and then you miss out on that opportunity, maybe John will look at it and go, I've made my money, I've had my time in England, I've played the Champions League as well. It's time to go up and do something that probably means something to me. So, yeah, you never know. You never know. Maybe Charlie Mulgrew's onto something. Maybe he is still desperate to play for Celtic, and maybe that will happen. But it's all circumstantial. We might not need a John McGinn in 18 months' time. We might have a cracking set of midfielders that you can't justify dropping any for him. It's too early to even properly know where we'll be in 18 months, let alone John. So, listen, I love seeing the talk, I love seeing the chatter, and I'm a huge fan of John McGinn. But I think it's something that there's no point getting dragged into quite yet. It's weird that Charlie Mulgrew ended up bringing it up on Talksport, but ho hum, here we are. So that does it for today. We are going to be going live tonight on the channel to discuss everything else in a bit more depth, to get your thoughts, your opinions. So I'll see you there at 7 o'clock tonight. Until then, please take care of yourself. Enjoy the rest of your Monday and have a good October week. I'll be here all through it. I'll see you all next time.